In this video, I'm going to explain to you why it is crucial that you listen to your own anxiety. It's not that you shouldn't go out and seek help. I'm not saying that at all. If you feel like you need a therapist or therapy, all good, by all means, do that. The main reason I want you to listen to your own anxiety is because people don't care. Now, I know that sounds harsh, so listen closely to what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is, it's not that people don't care. It's that people are unqualified to listen to you and give you any appropriate advice or suggestions. And by that, I mean you have to do things on your own to a certain extent because the average person isn't qualified. Now, let me also say this. As you can see, this is a tricky subject. Some people are, in fact, born anxious, just the way they're made. I'm trying my best to really hone in and narrow down a specific type of person like me that experienced trauma, childhood trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. You may have had ongoing traumatic events, and you're looking for a way to handle this once and for all on your own. For the scope of this video, let's get back into my original point. You have to listen to you. Other people want to help. Genuinely, they want to help you, but they don't know how to. So that ends up turning into sympathy. If you do have people in your life that will listen to you about your anxiety or your trauma, oftentimes what ends up happening is you'll hear things like, I'm sorry, that must have been awful. I feel bad for you. And the list can go on. We don't need your sympathy. We need your empathy. And with empathy means understanding. So this video now is going to pivot and talk more about what it's like to live with trauma, post-trauma, and the anxiety that comes along with that. You follow me? This is kind of what it's like to live with the after effects of trauma. And I say kind of because everybody's different. In my experience, here's the most accurate metaphor I could come up with. Imagine an innocent infant. They did nothing wrong. They were born precious and innocent. Imagine that baby's just beginning to walk, and as it takes its first couple of steps, a gigantic hole is placed in front of it. Did the baby cause the hole? Did the baby create the hole? Did the baby ask for any of this? No, they never saw it coming. Not only then does the innocent person fall into this hole, they spend their entire existence trying to get out of the hole. Just back to the surface, if you know what I mean. Many of us spent our whole lives trying to figure out why the hole was even there to begin with. Who put that there? Why did they put that there? Why would anybody do that? Think about how much time, energy, and resources we waste trying to answer that question. It's no wonder we have anxiety. We're asking the wrong questions. So in this presentation, when I have like group A and group B, again, I mean no harm or disrespect to anyone. And if you say, well, I'm not in that category or that category, you're right. I'm just using this as an oversimplified way to try to explain what it's like living through trauma. What it boils down to is something was taken from us, stripped from us, pulled out beneath our feet, so to speak. And we spend a significant portion of our lives trying to figure that out. If you can sit long enough and listen to your anxiety, some things will surface. You might have some emotional responses to things that have occurred in your past. There, my friends, it might be a good idea to go to a therapist. Nobody wants you to sit all by yourself with those painful memories. You have to do something with them. There's a paradox going on here, right? Can you hear it? You have to sit long enough and don't do anything so that you can start to bring these things up. But then once you do, you have to do something with them. In this case, this is where the songwriting comes in, or the writing, or the journaling, or some sort of creative outlet. Okay, so all that is the intro to the presentation, which you're about to see. Let's get into it. So before we get into the details, I do have to put out the disclaimer. You are responsible for you, your life, and the actions in it. I am not a professional, a healthcare professional. I'm not here to diagnose, treat, or cure you. I'm presenting information from my experience. I hope that it's useful to you like it has been for me. Also, if I move too fast, or if you disagree, or want to debate, or discuss, or if you have questions, you can leave your questions in the comments. You could say webinar, please. I'd be happy to host a live webinar, question and answer. I would really enjoy that, to be honest with you. I'd love to open up the forum and connect with you, and hopefully we can clear up confusion and provide a resource. That's the whole idea here. Okay. All right. Then without further ado, this is a mini course on listening to your anxiety. Do you often feel like you just don't fit in no matter where you are? Can you sense that something is wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Jump in and let's see where this takes you. Maybe your subconscious is trying to tell you something. There are people all around us who appear to be relatively content and satisfied with life. If you've ever talked to these people for any length of time, they seem to get along fine with their families. They come from a stable, consistent, healthy background. They don't appear to be anxious at all, or they don't appear to be anxious all the time. And they are comfortable talking to other people, including strangers. And they can fit right in. And then there's people like us. Let's go. When I say like us, I'm referring to category B of the next page. So this is a simplified qualifier. You might fall into category A, you might fall B, you might be a blend of both, or you might be like D, none of the above. Let's see these resonate with you. Category A is for average, like normal, like you had a stable environment. You had a roof over your head, something that you could call yours or ours. That means like you had your own home, whether it be an apartment or house or whatever the case may be. We or you had enough money growing up. Can you say we had clothes and shoes? We had working vehicles, I should probably add, and working parents. We had money to go on vacation. We were pretty happy overall. And then there's B. B stands for born into adversity, born into a chaotic environment or household, born into a dysfunctional system. Below average in terms of resources like money, food, clothing, housing, transportation, etc. Beneath the average income line and embarrassed, or perhaps even humiliated. But we were all born with the same opportunity, right? Wrong. Things happen to us that we did not choose, cause, create, or ask for. So if you haven't noticed, this presentation is for people that identify with the B column. When we got into trouble for acting out, authorities would often say, if only we made better choices. You need to make better choices. Let's think about this though. Crazy, irrational, confusing, and sometimes dangerous hurdles were placed in front of us. Although we didn't put them there or were taught how to get over these hurdles, we were expected to make good choices when it came to dealing with them. Some of these hurdles may include, but are not limited to, having to be the parent for the parent, having to lie to cover up for the parents, having to listen to parents argue and or physically fight, and the list goes on much longer than this. When it comes to making good choices, we didn't choose to be born into a chaotic, unpredictable, and often dangerous environment with dysfunctional people. Other examples that we were given and then expected to make better choices about would be like having addicted parents, or being familiar with the criminal justice system, whether that be for ourselves or for a loved one or a family member, or the unstable environment of adults arguing in our presence. As a little bonus, there's some anxiety information that goes hand in hand with this, and I find this valuable when you learn that anxiety is more common than you may think so that you don't feel isolated or alone. It's one of the world's most common mental disorders. Oftentimes, the symptoms have began in early childhood. There are highly effective treatments for anxiety disorder, so you don't have to live with it. Approximately 1 in 4 people with anxiety disorder receive treatment for this condition. But if that environment and the people in it took our sense of safety, our sense of well-being, and force us out of necessity to hide our true identity, then we can choose to recover it. As a matter of fact, it is our purpose to do just that, recover. In that sense, our anxiety is a messenger, perhaps even a blessing in disguise, if we can sit with it long enough to determine what it is trying to get us to discover. Here are some uncommonly common experiences we may uncover from our childhood. So if you do follow my suggestions and you sit with your anxiety, certain things are going to surface. They might be social service memories, or memories of assistance like food stamps, or the unpredictability of your environment, or perhaps trauma, or substance abuse or addiction, or shame, depression, guilt, or secrets, hiding, covering up. So what are we supposed to do now? I suggest that you go towards it instead of away from it. What does that mean? That means if you're sitting with your anxiety, that feeling, rather than squirm and get up and move, try to sit with it and turn toward it internally. Write it out rather than bury it or suppress it. Start writing, free flow thought, free flow journaling. Try to feel it physically instead of numb it with some sort of distraction. You can subscribe to my channel. That would be helpful for both of us. If you do decide to subscribe, just be aware that it's more than guitar. I met a person during a recent book signing who was afraid or turned off by my book because he thought it was about learning guitar. It is not about learning guitar. It's about using a creative outlet, in my case, guitar and songwriting, to work through the anxiety and or trauma. You can replace routines that are causing more anxiety in your life with guitar and songwriting. You can learn at any age. And a creative outlet is essential for recovering what was taken from you as a child. You don't just grow out of it on your own. You have to process it and you have to work through that. I know you're out there. You are not alone. There are many of us out there. Change can be terrifying, especially when you can't see the future, and therefore you default to past behavior. That might be the root of your self-sabotage. If you think about it, the past is more predictable than the future because you've seen the past before. But that's just it. Haven't you seen how this plays out? Haven't you seen your own parents do this? Is that really why you're here on this planet? To replay that cycle? Live your own life and break the cycle. You can get started by clicking on the image below. This leads you to some offerings that I have, some resources that I have. And again, you can comment, webinar please, or some training, or I have some questions, or I disagree, so on and so forth. And I'll set something up and I'll post a link so that we can meet in real time. So I get to leave you with this. You did the best you could with what you had, and you're doing the best you can with what you know. That's all there is to it. So stop being so hard on yourself. If you resonated with anything that I said, like and subscribe. Together we can get better. That's all there is to it.